The lights inside the America's Got Talent theater were soft and warm, like the quiet glow of early evening. The audience settled into their seats slowly, their voices fading into a gentle hum. The judges' table stood at the front, calm and still, waiting for the next audition. Simon Cowell leaned back in his chair, his hands resting together, his face neutral but alert. It had been a long day of performances. Some were exciting, some were forgettable, and a few had been strange. Still, the room held a sense of patience, as if everyone knew something meaningful might arrive at any moment. From the side of the stage, a small boy waited quietly. He was only 10 years old. His shoes barely touched the floor when he sat on the stool backstage. His hands rested in his lap, fingers twisting together and then stopping, as if he was reminding himself to breathe. His chest moved slowly up and down. He had practiced this moment many times in his mind, but standing so close to the stage made everything feel different. The bright lights ahead seemed larger now, and the quiet behind the curtain felt heavier. The boy thought about his room at home, about the posters on the wall and the soft blanket on his bed. He thought about the way he sang there, alone, with the door closed, where no one could hear him if his voice cracked. Singing alone felt safe. Singing in front of people felt like standing in the open during a strong wind. Still, he had come this far, and something inside him gently pushed him forward. When his name was called, he stood up. His legs felt light, almost like they might float away, but they carried him toward the stage. The curtain opened, and the lights became brighter. The audience came into view, a sea of faces that blurred together. He blinked once, then again, until he could focus. He walked to the center of the stage, each step careful and slow. The applause was polite and welcoming. It wrapped around him like a soft blanket, not too loud, not too quiet. He stopped at his mark and looked toward the judges. Simon Cowell studied him with a calm, thoughtful expression. There was no smile, no frown, just attention. That alone made the boy's heart beat faster. "Hello," Simon Cowell said, his voice even and clear. "Hello," the boy replied. His voice was small but steady. Simon Cowell asked him a few gentle questions. How old he was, where he was from, what he planned to sing. The boy answered honestly, without trying to sound older or braver than he felt. When he said the song title, All by Myself, there was a slight pause in the room. It was a big song, filled with strong feelings, and the boy knew it. He had chosen it because it matched how he often felt when he sang alone at night. Simon Cowell nodded slowly. "Whenever you're ready," he said. The music began softly. The first notes floated through the air, simple and quiet. The boy took a deep breath. For a moment, he closed his eyes. The theater faded away. The audience disappeared. The judges' table no longer existed. There was only the music and the space inside his chest where the song lived. When he opened his mouth to sing, his voice came out gentle and clear. It was not loud, but it was honest. Each word landed carefully, as if he was placing it down instead of throwing it. The room grew quieter. People leaned forward without realizing they were doing it. Even Simon Cowell shifted slightly in his chair. As the song continued, the boy's voice grew stronger. It carried the feeling of long evenings spent alone, of thoughts that came when the house was quiet and the world felt far away. He did not sing like an adult trying to sound big. He sang like a child telling the truth. There was a softness in his voice, but also a steady strength beneath it. The relatable problem hidden in his song became clear without him explaining it. He was a child who often felt alone in his feelings. Not abandoned, not unloved, just quietly separate, as if his emotions were deeper than his age allowed him to explain. Singing was how he spoke when words were not enough. The audience listened in complete silence. A woman in the front row wiped her eyes. A man held his breath without noticing. The music rose, and the boy followed it, his voice lifting higher. For a brief second, it wavered. The note trembled, like a small crack in glass. The boy's eyes opened wider. Fear flashed across his face. This was the gentle twist, the moment where everything could have gone wrong. He could have stopped. He could have pulled back and let the song fade. Instead, he took another breath and kept going. His voice steadied again, not perfect, but real. That small moment of weakness made the performance stronger. It reminded everyone that he was human, that he was brave for standing there at all. Simon Cowell noticed this more than anything else. His expression changed, just slightly. His eyes softened. His shoulders relaxed. He leaned forward now, resting his arms on the table. As the final chorus approached, the boy sang with a quiet confidence. He was no longer trying to impress anyone. He was simply sharing the song the way he always had, alone in his room, except now the room was filled with thousands of people listening. The last note lingered in the air, gentle and full. When it ended, there was a pause. For a heartbeat, the theater was completely silent. Then the applause came. It started slow, then grew louder, rolling through the room like a wave. People stood up. The boy looked around, surprised. His chest felt tight, but this time it was not fear. It was something warmer. He smiled, just a little, unsure of what to do with his hands. Simon Cowell did not speak right away. He looked at the boy, then at the other judges, then back at the boy again. The applause continued, then slowly faded. The boy waited, his breathing calm but deep. "That was," Simon Cowell said slowly, choosing his words, "one of the most honest performances we've had today." The boy listened carefully, his eyes locked on Simon Cowell's face. "You didn't try to be anyone else," Simon Cowell continued. "You were just you. And that takes courage." The boy swallowed and nodded. Simon Cowell paused again. The room felt like it was holding its breath. Then, without warning, Simon Cowell stood up. He reached for the golden buzzer. The moment stretched, quiet and bright. When his hand hit the buzzer, the sound rang out, clear and strong. Golden confetti exploded from above, filling the stage with light and color. The boy gasped. His eyes went wide. For a second, he did not move at all. Then the reality of it reached him, and his hands flew to his mouth. Tears filled his eyes, not from sadness, but from a feeling too big to name. Simon Cowell smiled, a real smile, warm and proud. The boy stood there under the falling gold, his song still echoing softly in his mind. He was no longer singing alone. He was seen. He was heard. And in that moment, surrounded by light, he understood that even when he felt all by himself, his voice could reach people in ways he never imagined. The stage slowly cleared. The lights softened again. The boy walked off, his steps lighter than before. Backstage, he took one last deep breath and smiled to himself. He knew there would still be quiet nights and lonely thoughts, but now there was also this moment, this memory, glowing gently inside him, reminding him that his voice mattered.